day 13. Let's see how this goes. We have one beach that looks like it has potential. It's a little bit further up the coast. This probably isn't where you expected to see me. I am in southern Colorado, about an hour outside of Durango, Colorado, to teach a wilderness first aid course. But while I was in the air, I got an email that was really pretty upsetting. Let's go. I would have stayed out there, but the light was fading and it was really bloody cold. It is really beautiful here. I'm actually in Pagosa Springs, if you know where that is, and flew out here to teach WFA. And as I said, while I was flying, I got an email that was super upsetting. Essentially, it was from NOLS Staffing, NOLS Expeditions, not NOLS Wilderness Medicine. I don't know who that was, but she just waved at me, so I waved back. NOLS Expeditions emailed me and said it was a forum email. Essentially, despite the fact that I requested work, they did not have any work for me this summer in Alaska. Okay, I want to interject a few things in here. The first is that I recorded the part in the car a few days ago, about 5 days ago. And it was pretty raw, and I wanted that to be on purpose. I wanted it to be obvious how hard it was. It's still hard for the fact that they didn't get me a course. And so with slightly clearer eyes, I want to inject a few things, but I'm still a little raw. For the sake of clarity, I want to give you a quick Brett's history teaching for NOLS. In 2006, I did my NOLS instructor course. I had been a student on a kayaking course in 2000, but in 2006, I did my instructor course, and I worked in 2006 for them in Alaska, and I was unable to work for them in 2007 because I had a medical issue that I thought was something real that really wasn't something real. But I worked for them again in 2008. In 2009, I did a work request. It's called a RAP, a work request and plan. So I did a RAP in 2009 and wasn't able to get a course. In 2010, I did a RAP and told them that I would work any course, any time in Alaska, and wasn't able to get a course. In 2011, I made the decision to kayak the Inside Passage because I hadn't done a big trip in a couple years and was not confident they were going to give me one. At the time, I didn't know that if you don't work for 3 years for them, that you're off the rolls as an instructor. I was not made aware of that at any point. And so when I emailed them and said, hey, look, I'm not going to work for you this year, but I want to come back next year, no one emailed me back and said, you want to do a RAP this year. Make sure you do a RAP, otherwise you can't work for us again. Shortly thereafter, or actually at about the same time, in 2010, I did my wilderness medicine instructor course and started working for them and have worked for them straight through, close to 100 courses at this point. I decided I wanted to go back to NOLS when I wanted to learn how to sail. Great experience, great instructors. I got invited back to do the NOLS sailing instructor course the following year, which I did in the fall of 2021, from the middle of early November to middle December. I got told about halfway through that course that they didn't feel I was ready to be a sailing instructor, but they really wanted me in the kayaking program. They needed me in the kayaking program. I was told this by the director of field faculty development. I felt like that was a good indicator that they really did want me. And actually, what they offered me at that moment was, they said, we have a contract for you to work a course in January. I wasn't sure I could make January work. Keep in mind, it was the middle of December. When I was able to get onto a phone, I called my wife up. I said, look, they want me to come back and work a kayaking course on January 4th, which means I need to be here on January 2nd, which means I'm flying on New Year's Day, less than 2 weeks from the point that I was on the phone with her. So I would have had to have either stayed in Mexico and missed the holidays with my family, or flown back to Norfolk from Baja and then turned around a week later and flown back. I would have gotten some money to fly back to Baja, but not enough to cover the full cost of the ticket. I told them that I couldn't do that. I told them that shortly after I got home, and said, but I'm going to do a wrap for summer in Alaska. And they said, well, you can't. You need to do a seminar to show that you've got the skills, despite the fact that they were willing to let me work a course in Mexico, which is a higher difficulty rating. That made no sense to me. But I was like, okay. But I had to get myself to Alaska. I had to pay for the seminar. On the seminar, at the end of the seminar, I was given some options by my instructors, who were also great. They said there are 3 different levels of instructors for NOLS. Instructor level is the lowest level. PL, or patrol leader, is the second highest level. And CL, course leader, is the highest level. They said, we're comfortable putting you in at the PL level if you would like. And I said, you know what I'd really like to do is work 1 course as an I, since I haven't worked for you guys in a while, and then start working as a PL. That was my mistake. I think that if I had been a PL, they'd have had a course for me. But because there are so many instructors now available at the I level, I think that's how I fell through the cracks. I knew that it was a possibility, but I figured I was due. But it's just really upsetting. The way that I feel about it is, I think I'm done with NOLS Expeditions. I did a lot of work to meet their demands, their needs, their wants for an instructor. I don't think this is about my skill as a paddler or my skill as a teacher. I did really well with both of those things on the seminar. I think that it's that they don't want to invest the time in someone who's my age and isn't going to work that many courses versus someone who's in their 20s and wants to work all the courses. And look, I totally get that NOLS has to get courses first to the instructors that work all the time. I totally get that. I even understand that NOLS has to get people right out of an instructor course into the field quickly so that they can build experience. I totally get that. What upsets me is that after they ran the seminar with 8 or 9 people who were all then checked out to be kayaking instructors, they ran a kayak instructor course, which we didn't know about at the time. If I had known they were going to do a kayak instructor course shortly after they did our course, I probably wouldn't have done the seminar, because I would have realized that there was a good chance I wouldn't get a course. And I don't blame any one person. I really like the school. This to me seems like a problem with NOLS sort of at the core level, is they're in this position where they have to have enough instructors to run all their courses. But then when they have too many instructors, what happens to people like me who have given up a lot of time, a lot of money, and made a lot of effort to work in that community? And so I think that there is something very seriously wrong with that sort of dynamic and the way that it exists. I think that I'm done trying to do whatever they ask me to do. Honestly, this feels to me like an unhealthy relationship. I do everything they ask me to do, and then they don't get me work. So I'm just going to sever the relationship. I have to say, the instructors that I worked with, both in sailing and on my seminar and my sailing instructor course, were all amazing. They were amazing instructors, and I loved working with them. But NOLS staffing, NOLS Expedition staffing, I'm done. I feel undervalued and disrespected, honestly. And I've never felt that way from NOLS Wilderness Medicine staffing. They've always treated me with respect. They've always said thank you. They've always worked to accommodate my needs. But at NOLS Expeditions, nothing. Okay, so what do I have planned now for this summer if I just lost a month of paddling in Alaska? I'm not 100% yet, but I think we're going to do a road trip up the coast to Maine, maybe into Nova Scotia, maybe into Newfoundland, and if we make it to Newfoundland, maybe up to Labrador, and wrap around and come back down through Canada. It depends on gas prices in particular, but right now that's the trip that I'm working on, and I will shoot everything along the way as well as particularly paddling. And I really want to paddle out of Happy Valley, Goose Bay, and Labrador. Google that one if you want to see someplace remote. So right now that's my plan. You can help me out with this by hitting like and subscribe or buying me a cup of coffee on Ko-fi. My books are available on Amazon. All those things to help support a little paddling channel. It's super appreciated. I really do appreciate it. And that's what I've got for now. So I will see you on the water.
First time in Alaska.
Weather's going to be a little different.
Yeah, weather's going to be good. You heard it here first.
Yeah, let's see.